Chairman, we're ready when you are.
Thank you. With that, we'll go ahead and call to order the regular scheduled Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for Tuesday, December 10th, 2024. And we'll start with roll call. Maybe.
Chairman Dana Hennis,
Thank you, I'm here.
Commissioner Brian Clark,
Present?
Commissioner Jeannie Greger,
Present.
Commissioner Jim Mann,
Present.
Commissioner Bobby Rossadillo.
Thank you. And first up on the agenda is our consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. First up on the public hearings is case number 24-04-S, 24-10-DR for the Skylar Ranch subdivision. Troy?
Good evening, Mr. Commissioner. Well, actually, all the commissioners. For the record, Troy Buchanan, Senior Planner, CUNA Planning and Zoning Staff, also known as Development Services now. The applications before you this evening are requesting preliminary plat approval for approximately 8.52 acres that are already zoned R6, which is medium density residential, and R4, which is also medium density residential, and to subdivide the site into 32 single-family lots and 4 common lots. The applicant is requesting design review approval for the landscaping for the common lots. The site is located near or at 1085 West Oak Tree Drive here in CUNA, and that is near the intersection of School Avenue and Ardell Roads. Staff would also like to note that there is a development agreement for the property, which was approved back in 2022, June of 2022. And the proposed preliminary plat appears to conform substantially with that council approval. Staff has reviewed the proposed pre-plat and the design review for compliance with CUNA City Code, Idaho State statutes, and the CUNA Comprehensive Plan. And should the commission recommend approval of the pre-plat application and approve the design review application, staff recommends that the applicant become subject to the proposed recommended conditions as outlined in staff's report. The applicant is present this evening. They do have a presentation which is on the big screen to your right, and I will be here for any questions that you have.
Thank you. Any questions? Real quickly, Troy, the one that was back in 2022, is that the same amount of buildable lots?
At that time, well, no, it's not actually. I mean, it was actually a one-lot subdivision which created this developable lot. What was approved in the development agreement and at that time in 2022 was the zoning.
Gotcha.
So the zoning is really the compliance check here, and yeah, it appears to conform to that substantially.
Okay,
Good question.
thank you. Okay, if the applicant would like to come up, remember, please state your name and address for the record and press the bottom to make it green and you're good to go.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Elizabeth Kekritz. I'm with Givens Pursley, 601 Bannock, Boise, Idaho. I'm here tonight to present Skylar Ranch. With me tonight is Will Mason. He is our engineer on this project. The owner couldn't be here tonight. We are here for the preliminary plat on this, as well as the design review approval. And as staff mentioned, the property has already been annexed and zoned, and the proposed plat is in substantial conformance with the concept plan. Commissioner Hennis, you asked if it is the same number of lots as what is attached to the concept plan for the development agreement. As always, I want to start by saying thanks to Troy. This project originally started back in 2020, 2021. And at that time, there was no sewer availability. And so they were able to annex and zone, but not come forward with a plat at that time. So let's orient you to the site. You can see right here where we're located, directly north of Ardell and right off of, there's a little sliver of property here between School Street and this property. It's an 8.5 acre site, and you can see that it's surrounded on three sides by development. There is one, or there's actually a few properties going north here that are still in the county, and they're zoned rural residential. One of the neighbor directly to the north, one of the concerns they had was about how their access would be. And Oak Tree Drive comes along right here, and that access is going to remain. There's not going to be any change to that access at this time. Zoning, you can see that there is mixed zoning on the property. It's a mix of R4 and R6. Directly to the west is R4. To the east is R4 and C1. To the south is R6 and R4. And to the north is that rural residential in the county. It's hard to tell on here, but this larger lot was, including over here, it was all annexed and zoned back in 2022. And the development agreement was approved in 2022 and recorded late that same year. And that did bring the annexation and zoning to this property. Here is the here's the development agreement. And it talks about the conceptual replat of the subject real property has to be in substantial conformance with the plat. So first, there were two lots over here. These two lots each held single-family residential homes. Those have been sold. Those are not part of the application here before you today. This is the concept. This is the preliminary plat. You can see that we are substantially similar in all ways, except for this is showing a cul-de-sac and a termination of the street. And working with the city and ACHD, they want this to be stubbed going north for future connectivity. And that also gives us emergency access along the north of the property. There is an easement there for that. So it is in substantial conformance. The preliminary plat, it's on 8.52 acres, 32 buildable lots, 4 common lots. And one thing, there was a note in someone submitted a late, Keith Binkley, who lives northeast of the property, submitted some comments. His house is more right up here. It's not directly adjacent. And he was asking for R4 zoned lots along the perimeter. I went through this. These are really large lots for R6 zoning. The ones in the center are more of your standard R6 size, but going down along this eastern boundary, they really exceed the R4 minimum lot size. You have a 9,000 square foot lot, 9,700 square foot, 10,000 square foot, 8,200, 7,700, 6,500. And then our only lot that doesn't meet the R4 minimum lot size standards is this one down here right along Ardell. Otherwise, these lots are really, they're quite large. They're going to be really nice lots. That's something the developer was interested in, was being able to have sort of a mix of lot sizes, and then R4 is also over here on the east. Lot sizes, because one thing that's really nice with these larger lots, especially around the perimeter, is that they've been able to work with some of the more high-end developers, the owner of the property, and looking at these lots. With these larger lots, you can get the 3-car garage, which is always a really nice amenity. They've got good-sized backyards. It's just going to be a really nice subdivision. You can get 3-car garages in these interior lots. It just gets a lot tighter. But these are some really nice big lots along the outside. The open space, they are at 11.81% open space. One thing that was mentioned in the staff report was the inclusion of a pathway along the lateral is right here directly to the east was the inclusion of a pathway on the west side of the lateral. The CUNA pathway plan just originally had it on the east side. The developer is amenable to that, and it looks like there is enough space along here to have it on its own full common lot outside of the easement, outside of the lateral's easement. That shouldn't create any sort of problems to create that walking pathway along here and include some landscaping along there as well. They're happy to provide that. Only one sort of issue has come up, and that is something that I haven't talked to staff yet about, but we're still asking for recommendation of approval, is ACHD requested that this terminate for now in a cul-de-sac. And I don't think, and the issue is not so much that it's a cul-de-sac with easements for this until their street goes forward in the future, but then they want these lots to be non-buildable until such time as the street gets punched through. And so we are going to be working with ACHD between this hearing and the city council one to see if we can get that lifted. These are big lots. We'd like to be able to build on them if possible prior to the road eventually going through, but that's something we'll just continue to work with them on. And so that is one change, is that this likely will turn into a cul-de-sac here at the end. And it's just whether or not these last two lots can be built upon. But it's something we're working with ACHD on right now. The rest, we are in agreement with all of staff's conditions of approval. We're just going to continue to work with ACHD on that one. We meet all the dimensional requirements, comply with all of the city code requirements. The subdivision meets with the comprehensive plan. It encourages housing options in strong neighborhoods. There's a pathway, there's good connectivity, public services are available to the site, and it really is sort of this has become an infill location, and this is a nice small subdivision in this location. So with that, we would request a recommendation of approval, and I will stand for any questions.
Thank you. I guess one question I have, I guess I'm a little confused. So you went away from the cul-de-sac in the beginning to the connecting street with, under their recommendations, but then they're now recommending that you go back to the cul-de-sac?
They want, Commissioner Hennis, good question. I need to do a better job explaining that. They want it to still go through, but until such time as it goes through, they want an easement and to have this paved as a cul-de-sac so that cars coming down the road don't just come and get stopped and have to back up.
Gotcha.
It's also a fire access issue.
Right.
Okay.
And we did speak with fire, Will Mason spoke with fire earlier today, and they are good with this emergency access to the north. They're just gonna put some bollards on it, and that will be an emergency access through to the north. So that's part of what we wanna work with ACHD on, is figuring out what's gonna happen right here at the terminus. But it can either be the cul-de-sac, in any event, eventually it will go through, but they would like a cul-de-sac until then, so cars can turn around better.
Okay, that explains it. Thank you.
So what is the overall plan for that, the connectivity for that road? I'm just looking at the map and I'm just not seeing where it would connect to.
Eventually, it will go, if the property, let's go to the zoom out position. If and when this property develops, which at this time, it's my understanding they don't have any intention of doing, but the road is there in case that they do, and then there is connectivity through there. The owner would likely then, of this property, if they were to develop, would likely extend Oak Tree, it's Oak something, I can't read it. Oak Tree, Oak Lawn, through across here, do some extension north, but just add in a little bit more connectivity there.
Okay, thank you.
Just fairly common for ACHD. Any more on these? Is there any other questions for the applicant?
Just real quick, point of clarification on the egress easement across the north edge. Is that going to be a permanent access easement?
It will be an emergency access easement until such time as there is a road and future connectivity.
Okay, so along that entire north edge, you got 25 feet you're burning. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I guess that's an interesting question on that point then. With Oak Tree on the west, would that, I was just looking at that for the future there, going back to your question. Is that ultimately going to end up being an intersection, potentially a knuckle? Coming off of Oak Tree, I'm just looking at this 25 feet, and you've got 50 feet reserved, there's an additional 25 feet to the north, it looks like, on the existing. The question for me is, what's the impact on Lot 1 gonna be, if that ultimately gets turned into an intersection?
Well, the
Kinda-
street, so it's my understanding, I'm sorry, I'm looking for a better plot of this.
Yeah, I'm looking at the preliminary plat itself right now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a better picture.
So coming in here, this either, so this is the current access easement. This
Right.
could, this likely, this development has not been conditioned to put in, and ACHD has not asked that they put in the half road section. And these two properties are no longer part of this plat, and so they have the easement, but they can't be included for a road right now.
Okay,
And so this, most likely, this property that's all north of here, if and when it develops, and I understand maybe the owners may even be here and don't want to develop it, would have room to put the road all along here and then down.
okay.
Thank you. Any other questions? No. Thank you.
Thank you.
So with that, I'll open up the public testimony at 6:17. And I see no one listed on the sign-in sheet to testify. Is there anybody present that has not signed up that would like to testify on this application? And seeing none, I will go ahead and close the public testimony at 6:18. That brings up our deliberation. I mean, I think ultimately, we've kind of looked at this before, and this is kind of the same, more or less, plat as before. And it was kind of a good little infill project. Kind of fitting in, I do like the transition on the outer sides, definitely, and picking up, you know, a pathway would be good along there and connect some of the little open space in the parks, I think. It's not a bad little use of that area. You're gonna have the commercial kind of more towards the corner. I don't know if I see anything too terribly objectionable.
Chairman? If I might, Doug Hanson, CUNA Planning and Zoning Director, 751 West 4th Street. So just to provide a little bit more context, the reason that Skylar Ranch subdivision is coming back before you this evening is because that original development agreement, the real driver behind that was because there weren't enough sewer connections available in the Danskin sewer basin. We conditioned through the staff report and through the development agreement that when we did have capacity in the Danskin sewer basin, that they could return and they would just have to go through the proper approvals for preliminary plat. The 10-mile force main upgrades happened now well over a year ago, so there is sewer capacity within the Danskin Basin, so ultimately that's why they're returning before you at this time.
Thank you. Basically, like I said, you know, it's conforming to what we've looked at prior. I don't see anything new. Is there any other comments or concerns?
No?
I think it's great that it's got some R4 in it. I think that's, for the amount of acreage it has, I think it's really nice to see some of that. Haven't seen any for a while.
Correct. And this really isn't adding to any buildable lots that we didn't have already on the docket from 2 years ago. If there's no other concerns, I'd stand for a motion and a recommendation.
Mr. Chairman, Move the recommend approval, case number 24-04S, with conditions as outlined in the staff report, and the additional conditions as outlined in the ACHD report regarding the cul-de-sac, temporary cul-de-sac.
Okay. The applicant to continue working with them prior to,
I'll just restart. Let's just go ahead and, I think we'll
Yeah.
omit that from the record.
well, I think it might not be a bad item to have in there,
Yeah,
is that they are still continuing to work prior to the city council
okay.
with that. then
And any
also the
additional,
pathway.
and any, so the pathway's there.
Is it in the conditions?
Well, I don't know if it's the conditions. I'm seeing it in the landscape plan,
It
though.
was in the staff recommendations.
It was, okay, I missed that one, okay.
Yeah, and it shows up on the landscape plan as it is.
Okay.
Okay, so, I mean, what do you, so with the, additionally temporary cul-de-sac turnaround, continued talks, something of that nature? Yeah, this is an awkward one, huh?
It's easy as it looks, huh?
Yeah. All right, Mr. Chairman, I move that we recommend approval of case number 24-04S with conditions as outlined in the staff report. In addition, the developer will continue talks with ACHD prior to council hearing regarding the temporary turnaround on Schuyler TBD Public Street.
I'll second that.
Thank you, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, motion to approve case number 24-10DR with conditions as outlined in the staff report.
I'll second that.
Thank you, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you. Nice work, Brian.
Hey, we got there in the end.
Okay, next up on the agenda, I see case number 24-08-SUP, special use permit for the Republic Storage modification. Ms. Reed?
Good evening, Commissioners. So good to see your faces again. So for the record, Jessica Hall, Economic and Community Development Specialist with Development Services, 751 West 4th Street, CUNA. As a refresher, the original annexation, special use permit, and design review for the storage facility at 5610 South 10 Mile came before you and was approved and/or recommended approval November 28th of 2023. So the special use permit modification before you this evening is for the addition of an on-site living quarters for the managers of the future Republic Storage facility. Having on-site managers is a standard operating practice for Republic Storage, as they find it increases security and creates a better customer experience. The intent is to incorporate the living quarters into the main building, which is also where the office is located, and any exterior changes as a result of the living quarters will be in compliance with the previously approved design review. With that, I can answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Commission have any questions at this point? No? Thank you. Would the applicant like to state anything or expand on that? If you-
Nate Mitchell, 1470 North Rookway, Star, Idaho. I probably ought to hire Jessica to do my job for me. She stated it as well as it could be stated. We're simply asking for the additional land use of having an on-site manager. We do believe it provides a better customer service and better security for our customers, and would stand for questions and request recommendation for approval.
Thank you. Any questions for applicant? No? Got off lucky. Thank you. Okay, with that, I will go ahead and open up the public testimony for this application at 6:25. And I see no one signed up to testify. Is there anybody else here that did not get a chance to testify that would like to sign up for this application? Nope. So I will go ahead and close the public testimony at 6:25. And that brings up our discussion. I don't.
This one's straightforward. I mean,
Yeah,
we're adding the land use.
and I think it's makes a better product when you got better on-site security there.
Yeah, I think that'll be a big help.
Yeah. Agreed.
Unless there's any other comments or concerns, stand for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, motion that we recommend approval of case number, approve case number 2408 SUP.
Second.
With the conditions.
Oh, with the conditions as outlined in the staff report.
Second again.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nope. That was easy. Thank you. Nice seeing you again, Jessica. Next up on the agenda, we have case number 24-06, SUP, another special use permit. This is for Mi Casita Childcare. I'd get it.
Eventually. Good evening, members of the commission. For the record, Troy B. Hunan, Senior Planner, CUNA Planning and Zoning Department. The application before you this evening is requesting special use permit approval in order to operate an in-home group childcare for up to, for between 7 and 12 children in her home, which is located at 2170 North Mountain Ash Avenue in CUNA, Idaho. It is allowed with a special use permit according to city code, and staff has reviewed the code for that compliance. And should the commission approve the application, staff does recommend that the applicant be subject to the proposed recommended conditions in the staff report. And this is pretty much a simple daycare in her home. And staff is here for any questions you might have. The applicant is here, and I believe that her husband will act as translator if needed.
Thank you. Did the applicant want to state anything? Okay. Thank you. Come on up and please state your name and address for the record.
Dice que digas tu nombre y tu dirección para los records.
My name is Rocio Flores y mi dirección es 2170 North Mountain Heights en Avenue CUNA, Idaho.
My name is Rosito Flores.
Hit the button so it's green. Turn the red button. Just touch it. There,
Yep.
there you go.
Oh, I gotta repeat everything again?
No, just you're fine.
You're
fine.
Sorry. And I'm gonna read this for you guys, but she did it. All right. Well, here we go. My name is Rocio Flores. I'm 37 years old. I have been married for 17 years. I have 3 beautiful daughters. One of them is 14, the other one is 10 and 4. I'm from Mexicali, Mexico. I'm very happy and very anxious about the project we have coming up, Mi Casita Daycare Spanish Education Center. That's right. It's a daycare where we will promote the Spanish language to our children. We will have education and fun at the same time. I'm very proud to teach this language that I have from my roots.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, but I'm nervous and
I get it, trust me.
and when I read, I mean, it's hard for me to read English.
No worries. Thank you very much. Is there any questions for the applicant? No. No? Okay, thank you. With that, that brings up the public testimony. I'll open at 6:30. No one signed up to testify. I will make the announcement even though I doubt it. Is there anybody here that did not get a chance to sign up for testimony on this application? And seen? Huh? Sure. Come on up. And go ahead and state your name and address for the record.
Okay, I'm her husband.
Yeah.
I live at 2170 North Mountain Ash Avenue. And I have a letter right here from a neighbor that she wrote for her. So I don't know if you guys want me to help to read this, because she wanted to come over here, but she couldn't because she was sick. But I have a letter.
Okay. Doug, how do we enter? He can just read that as his testimony? Yeah, okay. Yes, go ahead.
Doug Hansen, CUNA Planning and Zoning. It could be read into the record as testimony.
Okay, my name is Sara Tollett, and my family and I live next door to the Flores family. Since moving to our home, they've been wonderful neighbors and friends. Rocio is a perfect person to run in a home daycare. She's patient, kind, and wonderful with the kids. They keep a very clean and organized home, indoor and out. If you approve her license, I will personally send my 3-year-old son and my 4 months baby boy to her. I don't see any issue with a daycare at home, and fully support its licensing, yeah. Please call me at 208-420-5120 if you have any questions.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, with that being the last and no one on the list, I will close the public testimony at 6:32. And that brings up our discussion.
Yeah, I like it. Anytime that we have small local businesses being made, obviously there's a need for, childcare, and having a Spanish-speaking option as well is becoming increasingly needed, I guess.
Yeah, it's very true. I agree. Anybody else?
I agree. I appreciate that she's gone through the licensing process instead of
Yes,
just doing it.
yes, exactly. Well, with that, I would stand for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, move that we approve case number 24-04 SUP with conditions as outlined in the staff report.
Is it 24-06?
I'm sorry. Yes. Strike that. Wheel it back. Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve 24-06 SUP with conditions as outlined in the staff report.
I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. Thank you very much.
I'll have you know that it was written wrong in the recommendation.
Yeah, it was. Glad I didn't do it.
With that, is staff got any updates or reports?
For the record, Doug Hansen, CUNA Planning and Zoning. Just another reminder that the Planning and Zoning Commission regularly scheduled meeting for December 24th, 2024 is canceled.
Perfect, thank you. If we've got nothing further,
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second it.
thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Yeah, I didn't think so. Thank you.
Sweet.